Welcome back to, I think it's the fourth interview we have today. Current review. My name is still Thamsanqa Tu, like it has never changed, like it will never change. Otherwise known as TT from the TT Hookup. I'm with Current Live of the Central News Live. We were with Tebogo earlier on. I think you'll see join us a bit later. But now, on this final section of the interviews of today, focusing on the main focus today was on the January 8th statement of the ANC, but we'll shift focus a bit and talk about the Young Communist League. They released a statement quite recently around
Yes,
that we will talk about. I'm having some distractions here, but I don't know, my producer. I think just switched off this thing. Welcome, Mzwandile Thakhudi, the National Secretary of the Young Communist League of South Africa. And compliments of the new year. We hope that everything that you do this year for the working class youth will bear the kind of fruit that you want it to.
No, thank you so much, Thamsanqa, and we want to thank you for the invitation and season's greetings to you and your crew, as well as the viewership.
We appreciate that. We'll pass the greetings to the crew, and our viewers are definitely on the lookout for blessings for this coming year. I think let's get to it quickly so that we keep up the time that we've set for ourselves. The recently released statement of the Young Communist League of South Africa, released in your name, says that the Yclsa welcomes the first phase of the comprehensive student funding model. Can you elaborate on why the Yclsa views this as a progressive policy intervention and its potential impact on broadening access to higher education?
Well, thanks. Good question. One, you would know that since the fees must fall, the battle we have fought alongside the South African students, our allies, and everyone else who is an interested party on the matters related to education. We have at the time achieved certain milestones. One, to lift the threshold of the joint family income to 350,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as such, as a consequence of that, there was a new notion that would have emerged, that of the so-called missing middle. And we would have also, and as such, students whose parents, mainly in the public sector or workers anywhere else, whose joint family income has above 350,000, were not eligible in terms of the financial eligibility criterion of the National Financial Aid Scheme. They would not be funded. And as such, those students are the ones who would be excluded on financial grounds, that they would not have met their financial obligations with the universities in the past. So that is number one. Number two, the department shows that these will intervene to close to 50%, that is 47% of the students who currently need this intervention. So we believe that it should be able to broaden access in that eligibility is broadened. It is not, we must record that it is not the best that has ever happened, but it is a movement from where we were. We would recall it is this financial eligibility criterion has its way of having some bottlenecks in terms of access. So we find it as a little bit of a mechanism that can be used to expand access into the sector.
And you also support the idea that the comprehensive student funding model will benefit students not covered by NSFAS. How does the Yclsa propose addressing the challenges faced by the students in the missing middle, especially regarding the income threshold for aid? I think you touched on it a bit. Perhaps maybe you want to just elaborate some more on it.
Yeah, we are saying on that point that these, like I said, it culminated, this movement culminated from the struggles of students pre and into the fees must fall movement and whatnot. So that is now over half a decade wherein we've had this joint income, family income threshold of 350,000. So we're saying we are proposing that we've got to move this income, joint family income threshold to that particular 600,000, that everyone whose family income is joint family income is up till 600,000 can be able to be eligible to be funded by NSFAS. So that is what we're saying. This new funding model or the scheme must then begin. So the missing middle must move from joint family income of 350 to 600. Then this funding, this comprehensive funding model must begin from the people who earn over 600,000 and above. That is, those people can be given that loan. So I think it's a good start.
I'm sorry, man, but your statement also mentions the concern about future private sector involvement in the disbursement of the funds of the NSFAS. Could you elaborate on why the Yclsa, on why you have reservations and believe that state control, preferably through a state bank or public development finance institution, is crucial or better for the management of the funds, NSFAS?
Yeah, maybe let me finalize the preceding one.
Okay.
To say, in the these, or maybe let me say just the last financial year, the Monetary Policy Committee of the South African Reserve Bank, and when it convenes, it increased the interest rate, that is the repo and prime rate, on three occasions. So, and the inflation, hyperinflation is active. And as such, that has an impact on the living conditions or standards of the people as a whole. With that being said, the working class and the working people, so it means the earnings you are having in the basket of with the income that you are still having. So as such, to have a stagnant threshold on incomes threshold erodes the earnings, and unfortunately, that is a major criterion that will be used. So we're saying in these 5 years, the economic situation has been dire. And you must also consider that while the joint family income is 350, you must also consider the number of the dependents on the very joint family income. So it is important that this point must be understood in context, to say we appreciate this comprehensive funding model approach. That is the first. However, we believe it is a good starting point to then raise the question of moving the income threshold, and then the people who earn above $500,000 can then be earmarked for this model as the missing middle. I think that one must be understood in context, because that is the main point we are making.
No, I'm not sure if you are getting to the other question that I asked, or should I maybe repeat it for you, because I think you will.
That would be kind of you and be appreciated.
Yes. You call for the disbursement of the funds of NSFAS to be exclusively
good.
On the preserve of the state. Can you explain the reasoning why behind that position, and how it aligns with your organization's broader vision for education in South Africa?
We understand the private sector's motive exactly of venturing into entrepreneurial activity. The main motive is to make and maximize profit. So, in making and maximizing profit, who becomes a prey into this profit maximization will obviously be the poor people and the toiling masses. So it is for that reason we are saying the disbursement of these funds should be exclusively a preserve of the state, ideally through a state-owned bank. Why are we saying this? Because in an agreement between the public and the private sector institutions, such as a bank and NSFAS, a bank its interest will obviously be to make a profit out of that situation. And the government or public sector will not, or if it's a state-owned bank, will not have a primary motive to make profit, but to pursue the national imperatives or the agenda. So we're saying, with the monies that could have been the profit of whoever in the private sector, those public institution or finance development institution could also be capitalized into assisting many more students. So you would understand, for instance, the current problem was dealt with of unbundling this very NSFAS, where you find the disbursement of funds has been privatized, in that their service providers who do that. And more often than not, we have, that is why we find challenges of students who will not be given their allowances on time. That is the transport allowance, food allowance, and academic material or books allowances. And if you realize these things, these three elements are enablers of academic success or excellence, in that you've got to have transport to go to school, you've got to have eaten when you are at school, you have got to have books. So if you don't have those things in time, then it means the enablers of academic excellence are not there. That is the tools of trade. So it means it's a setup. You won't succeed without those. That is why they were made available. So if they are late, then it means you will not be able to consolidate and understand of academic content, and then ultimately
you're back.
Pardon?
May I beg? You're just frozen up on my screen, but you're back now. Sorry, you can continue.
Oh, thanks. So the point I was making in finality is to say, if you don't have those things, those enablers of academic excellence, then we're seated with a much bigger problem. That you will not succeed, and there is a policy M plus, that the NSFAS will fund you for a period equivalent to the duration of your course plus 1 year. So it means if you don't succeed in that duration, you will not be eligible to be funded. And as such, it means all the resources that would have been used on you would have been gone to waste, because the throughput, there's no throughput. Therefore, there is no return on investment of the public funds on you, because the return would ideally be to have you qualified, being skillful, and able to contribute to the economy of the country. So if those funds are used on you, but you don't ultimately get that result which you had envisaged, then it will be wasteful. So we're saying, so it is connected with the involvement of a private sector that is driven by a profit making and maximization as a motive. It is for that reason.
Your point is well made and well registered. I just want to, because we're talking about NSFAS and its disbursement and the problems that often befall that important fund of the students. What is the Young Communists League view on the allegations leveled against the Minister of Higher Education, the former General Secretary of the Communist Party of South Africa, Minister Blade Nzimande, around the abuse of funds, the bribes, and the money allegedly given to him to give to the SACP, and those kind of allegations. What is the view of the Young Communist League around those things, and how this affects the young people whom you are speaking about around the issues of funding for higher education?
Well, good. I think you are following the discussion around this matter. And then the minister held a presser sometime to clarify this matter, which he said he categorically denies those allegations. And then the party, through its spokesperson, Dr. Alex Mashilo, did say that the party has no knowledge of these things. That is the second element to it.
Yes.
Then the view of the YCL will be that everyone, as we would have said in our previous statement on this particular question, everyone who has tangible information on these matters, let them approach a competent law enforcement agency such that these matters are tested empirically, so that we don't talk about hearsay, we don't talk about allegations, but we talk about substantive issues that would have arisen out of a objectively undertaken investigation. Last issue, speaking of objectively undertaken investigation, we do believe that if you conduct an investigation, whoever you are investigating must be aware that they're being investigated as a principle of fairness, justice, and the principle of audi alteram partem is an important one if you undertake the investigation that is, or that may not have a premeditated conclusion. So that is the view of the YCL. If there's to be if there are to be allegations, let there be substantial evidence, so that then the YCL can express its view on what is there on the table, not a hearsay or other things. That is
So we are basically saying right now the YCL will not entertain hearsay as you regard those allegations against the minister, Blade Nzimande, as just hearsay and nothing substantive.
it's outer word against the minister's word, because outer says this, the minister says he categorically denies. So then we've got to have a fair process of adjudication. And if that process is to take place, then there's got to be an understanding, or there's got to be an appreciation of the fact that there's got you've got to listen to both sides of the story in making that particular determination. Unfortunately, these people don't compensate for a reputational damage that emerges out of these reckless allegations.
So right now, your position is that we don't know who is possible.
What we are saying, we capture what we are saying accurately and completely. Yes. What we are saying is that whoever who has tangible evidence to get level allegations, let them approach the competent law enforcement agencies.
Noted.
That is the view of the Young Communist League.
Noted.
Of South Africa.
Noted. And as of the Young Communist League. Now, the past weekend was the marked this birthday to the the role played by young people in shaping the democratic order, and as well as young people's contribution to societal issues generally. What is the view of the Young Communist League with regards to that acknowledgement by the president of the ANC around the role of young people in shaping the democratic order of this country?
Our view is that is better said or acknowledged than done.
Mm.
Because it's a well-established fact that young people contributed immensely on the shaping of a democratic order. They themselves, during their time of where in their contribution to the movement was at their apex. It was when they were youthful, energetic, and young. So we have said in the past, of late, that especially after the 18th and 19th open voter registration, we did say that after the IEC said 2.9 million people interfaced with the IEC during that weekend. And of the 2.9, which would have interfaced with IEC either online or by way of going to the voting stations, over 70% were youth, over 52% were females. But we also said this is not reflected. This is not reflected in law-making bodies. And we expressed a concern to say youth representation is as important as female representation. Oh, Mama fought for their 50% yalombasha, and they have it. If you make a thorough assessment of simply just the 2021 elections process and its outcome, our movement said the youth must have a 20% yalombasha. But if you look at many councils, there's no religious sort of compliance towards this thing. And that is one thing which we take a serious exception of, a dim view, to say we must not be embraced just to be made to be excited. We've got to be appreciated as equal partners in the cause for development and transformation. We are not subhuman beings as young people to be appreciated sometimes, and then sometimes when the youth must now represent their aspirations and whatnot, are then elbowed.
In conclusion, Mzwandile, the schools year is beginning, I think, in the inland schools starting tomorrow. What is the message that the Young Communist League of South Africa has, for the student population that begins their year tomorrow?
Obviously, the Young Communist League of South Africa will wish them all of the best in this new academic year on the academic endeavors as a starting point, because you know that we have had for the longest of time now annual but year-long campaign. That means it's unending on the Joe Slow Right to Learn campaign. Wherein the YCL focuses on school readiness in terms of staff establishment, learner to teacher ratio, challenges that are there in the school to ensure that we elevate them through the quality learning and teaching campaign, steering committees, and other things. So what we'll say, we'll just wish them well, all of the best. They know that we always say, you don't pass at the end of the year, you pass at the beginning of the year, and proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Thank you very much. That was Mzwandile Thakhudi of the Young Communist League of South Africa, the National Secretary. We engaged with him on the important statement they have regarding the funding model of the higher education. Thank you very much, Mzwandile, and all the best for your programs.
Bensaramas.